Sergio Perez is the first driver Red Bull are hiring outside their young driver program since signing Mark Webber in 2007. Of course, this means Red Bull are jumping into the unknown for the first time in a long time. As for Checo himself, he hasn't moved teams since leaving McLaren at the end of 2013, so the same can be said for him. It was evident Red Bull was stranded for the most part of 2020, with Alex Albon unable to pose a regular threat to Max Verstappen, thus leaving Red Bull unable to pile on the pressure on the Mercedes throughout the season on a regular basis, especially when they seemed more competitive at the end of the season. So, clearly, Red Bull want another car in the mix to give them a wider range of options, with the hope of capitalizing on opportunities presented to them on occasion. Obviously, this is why they've brought in Sergio Perez. Over the last decade, Checo has shown he has the abilities to over-deliver results consistently, despite never really having a car worthy of fighting for those positions on a regular basis. In 2020, he was given the chance to show all these qualities in his Racing Point, which was consistently a leading midfield car throughout the year, and he managed to easily grab that best of the rest title, despite missing 2 races with COVID-19. With the outright second best car on the grid under his belt for 2021, Red Bull will almost certainly be expecting Perez to deliver even better results than he managed in 2020, and a top 4 result in the standings should be the minimum target. But is it really enough for both him and Red Bull? Would Red Bull really be satisfied with their driver simply bringing home P4 every week, being Verstappen's rear gunner? I think it's far more complex than that. Whilst bringing home the minimum target and being clear of the midfield would be an upgrade on what Albon managed, I'm not so convinced both Red Bull and Perez will settle for just that. Helmut Marko stated recently that he expects Perez to be 0.2 or less within Verstappen in qualifying and at most 10 seconds in the races, which again is around 1 or 2 tenths off Verstappen in race pace. Whilst it may not seem like a lot, this is an absolutely mammoth expectation for anyone alongside Verstappen, who is definitely one of the fastest drivers in recent memory. When it comes to raw pace alone, Max, Lewis and Leclerc are in a league of their own, so getting anywhere close to them is a very tough ask. If we look at Verstappen and Perez's qualifying record over the last couple of years or so, it's clear that Max could gap a guy like Ricciardo quite considerably, around 1.5 tenths in the qualifying head-to-head between them in their final 2 years together. It may not seem like much on the face of it, but when you remember that this is the same Ricciardo who had a good 2-3 tenths on Vettel, had a small but comfortable margin to Hülkenberg, and a pretty big gap to Ocon, both who were faster than Perez himself. Only then we realised the size of the task facing Perez this season, and the weight of expectation. However, Perez has come to be known as a Sunday specialist. For instance, in the 7 seasons in which Perez has been out-qualified by his teammate over a season, he still managed to outscore them in 4 of those seasons, which is still quite impressive. He certainly does have a tendency to perform better on a Sunday, and doesn't really let qualifying deficits get the better of him, which should be encouraging on his side. So, the Sunday comparison with Verstappen seems a lot more promising. Then again, Verstappen is still a formidable Sunday driver, and has come on in leaps and bounds in recent years, especially since mid-2018. He's minimised the silly unforced errors from the past, and is a lot cleaner and less erratic than he was before with his racecraft. In Turkey he showed glimpses of impatience, but over a season Max will be mighty and tough to match. Perez's own strengths lie in tyre preservation, especially in looking after the rear tyres with his delicate touch on the throttle. This is where I feel Red Bull and Perez can come into their own. They don't want Checo to just sit around in P4 and hope for a failure on one of the silver cars, or on Max in Perez's case. Instead, they'll play to his strengths as a driver and use them to open up strategic options during a race, such as using one car for the undercut if they're within striking distance and leaving the other one out to go long, utilising these strengths. So, can Perez be more than just a standard number 2? I think so. At the end of the day, whilst Red Bull have invested heavily in Max's career and clearly want to give him every opportunity to succeed, Perez himself hasn't waited around for a decade to play second fiddle. He, like anyone, has come to Red Bull with the intention of winning and doing the best for himself. It's what he's worked all these years for, and I certainly think he's capable of putting Max under pressure, rather than settling for a standard backup role, if you like. Do I think he'll be the faster of the two Red Bull drivers or beat Verstappen outright? I'll be honest, no, I don't. But it doesn't mean he's not able to do something, as we've seen on multiple occasions in the past, Hamilton and Button for instance. With this in mind, they should be hoping for another strong season, stronger than 2020. They've got two very strong drivers in their car, and now it will give them more opportunities to take an awful lot more points away from Mercedes than they managed last year. And fingers crossed, both teams can give us the close title fight we all wish to see. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, subscribe and comment below. How do you think Perez will perform against Verstappen this season?